Welcome everyone to episode number 188 of Pro NoCoders Office Hours. I am your host, Tonya. I'm here with members Thomas and Adeboye. We're going to get started in just a moment, but first, I want to make sure you know what Office Hours is all about in case this is your first time watching. We invite our Office Hours members to come onto Zoom with us 6 times per week. That's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and Mondays we have an extra session at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And our members are invited and they can come on and ask us any Bubble question that they want. There's nothing off limits as long as it's related to Bubble, and we will do our best to give them answers. We don't have all of the answers because no one does, but we do a pretty good job and we promise you won't suffer alone. So if you would like to get your Bubble questions answered, you can go to pronocoders.com and sign up to become an Office Hours member today. And you have about 1 week left to sign up as an Office Hours member at the current rate of $99 per month. The price will go up on January 1st. We're raising the price to $119 per month. So make sure you get locked in at the $99 rate now. Hang on just a moment. There's an emergency going on. So apparently we had a rattlesnake in our backyard. So that was fun. Um, we are all safe. Nobody was bitten, so we're good.
Okay.
But I just heard my daughter screaming, "Mom, there was a rattlesnake!" So I had to pause for a moment. Okay. Yes, go sign up at pronocoders.com and we will get to our regular programming now. Adeboye, welcome. How are you?
I'm okay. Okay.
Awesome. What can I answer for you today?
Yeah. So you said that you wanted us to touch base on best codes or best
Yes,
practice
best
for I have
practices.
to use the new responsive engine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
So that's what I just wanted to touch base on.
got it. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about doing minimizing or consolidating the number of pages in your app
Okay.
and um, and using reusables effectively. So
Okay.
I noticed that there's a lot of commonalities in some of your design that I
Yep.
think usables can help keep things cleaner.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So essentially, the idea would be to step back and look at whenever you have. I'm trying to remember your app. Can I go into your app specifically?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay. So you have quite a few pages, and I'm sure some of these are not even in use, or maybe they are all in use. Do you have
Yeah.
a feeling about whether or not they're all in use or not?
Yeah, everything there. Maybe there are just a few there that I use to run um, workflows or how I want something
Okay,
to look. So I just have a few test pages there,
got
pretty
it.
much.
Okay.
Maybe there'll be about two or three, but
So
everything is in use.
yeah, so my guess is the best way of going about it, and this would even work for your existing app, right? Is
Yeah.
if you started putting thinking of your customers in terms of like what their specific session is going to include, like all of the different flows that they might do in a single session, and
Okay.
try to fit as many of those flows onto one page as possible.
Okay. I see.
But instead of putting all of the elements and the workflows on the same page, section it out. So using your pages here as kind of like guidelines for which reusables you need.
Okay.
Right? And then put those reusables on the page.
I
And
see.
here's where the nice thing comes in, is because you can use a reusable that's using the new responsive editor on a page that is not using the new responsive editor.
No, so just to be clear, okay, I can use a reusable that is not on responsive on the rest. Okay, I got you. Got
Yep.
that
So
now.
you could create a new reusable, convert that to the new responsive editor, and then place that new responsive editor reusable element onto a page that you have not made into the new responsive editor yet.
Okay.
So it's possible to kind of take what you have existing and start adding new elements to a page as you get them converted, and sort of piece it together that way.
Okay.
The reason for this is because optimizing your app for your users' experience, the less page loads you have, so the least amount of page loads that you can have them have to go through when they're using the app, it'll be a lot faster and easier and less frustrating for them.
Okay, then if they have to go to a different page.
Yep.
Okay, let me just to clarify, okay, you just let me explain like a one of the workflows. Like if I wanna create a customer, right? Usually I will go create a customer page, put the details of the customer, right? Then sometimes maybe I also want to check other customers. Are you saying I should put all that together on one page rather than going between two pages?
So I'm thinking in terms of here, and I can show you on here. So you're going to have your login sequence, right? So you'll have a page where they go first, right? Like basically your home page when they're not logged in. And then you'll have a login page, and those will be separate pages.
Yeah.
They'll enter the details when they're signing up and logging in, right? So in Canvas, it looks like this. So we've got our login page. They came to this page usually from the home page. If they just went to mydomain.com, they would get a marketing page, and it would have a link to log in or sign up, and they would arrive here. They'd enter their information, and then generally you're going to take them to a portal page. So let's see if I have dashboard. Yeah. So then you'll take them to a portal page, and they're going to have their side menu here.
Yeah.
And then every time they click a tab, they'll see something different in the main workspace of the page.
Yeah.
So what I'm suggesting to do is that you would have this thing here, this group here.
Yeah.
You would create this in a reusable, right? And so this would be this right now is not a reusable. You can tell because I can click into the individual elements. But what I would recommend doing is taking this and convert it to a reusable element.
Okay.
Right. And then if I go back to the dashboard page, I can take this and I can no, it's not going to let me replace it. So I can take this and then come down here to dashboard reusable 1 and pop it in here. And then if I click on it, it'll click into space.
Okay.
Yep. And so now the reason to do this is because now when you load the page, all of the workflows and everything from here are not part of this page anymore, right? So this was the things that came with the dashboard page. But if you
Yeah.
go into the reusable that I just made, it has its own set of workflows. And that's going to improve two things. So if you end up consolidating, as I recommend, you're going to reduce the number of page loads that your user has to experience every time they want to do something in your app, right?
Okay.
So it'll make it feel a lot faster for them. It will actually load the page faster, though. If you're going to do everything on one page, your page will load faster if you're using reusables, because the elements will be in the reusable and the workflows will be in the reusable, and it'll only be loading them as they're viewed instead of having to load them all with the same page load.
Okay.
Right. And then it does a third thing, which is it makes your life easier because your editor will work a lot faster.
Okay.
The more things you have on a page, the more workflows you have going on in a page, the slower your editor will become over time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And
okay.
Here's the thing. Have you done much work with reusables? I don't think. There's a little bit.
No. I've used it for a dashboard and for a sidebar.
For the sidebar?
Yeah, sidebar, and I use it for header bar also. So pretty much that's the only time I've used a reusable for my app.
So there's a few things to keep in mind when you're using reusables. So when I have my dashboard here, where did it go? I'm in my dashboard, here we go. So when I'm in my dashboard here,
yeah,
I'm going to have all kinds of things happening on the page, just like they would in a normal page, but it'll really be happening in the reusable. And sometimes I'm going to need the things that are happening in this reusable to communicate back into the page that the reusable is on.
Okay.
Or sometimes even inside other reusables, right? So that's where you'll probably run into some trickiness, because you'll have to use custom states and URL parameters in order to make the conversations between the reusables, the page, and other reusables to happen. So something to keep in mind is that this reusable itself has custom states that can be accessed by the page because the reusable is placed on the page. So for instance, if I wanted let's see if I can get these dashboard things. Thomas has complained about this, but it's an old responsive problem as well. Sidebar. Okay, so let's say I want this group here, not just to show this group here, but also to set a state for this group, right? So on this workflow, I click here and it's doing its thing here. I can actually go into the element actions and I can set a state on the dashboard reusable. So this is the reusable.
Okay.
And I have access to its states. And I can go to the reusable and add as many states as I want, and I can change those states from the page. Now, it does not work the other way around. I cannot set a state on a page from the reusable. What I can do is I can go into the reusable, and when I click that new button, I can do something like go to page, and I can go to page dashboard, and then I can set parameters, right? So I could set a new parameter to send information to the page that way, right? So that's how you would get the reusable to communicate back to the page, and then the page to communicate back to the reusable. You can also use URL parameters in the reusable too. So the reusable has access to the URL parameters as well whenever it's in use. So
yeah.
But
Okay.
I think taking the time to figure out how to use reusable, there is a learning curve, and it does get a little bit tricky sometimes. But I
Okay.
think slowing down to really learn how to use reusables and to condense and consolidate things onto one page for the user as much as possible will benefit you in the long term a great deal.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I probably do is just learn reusables and also URL parameters again. Let me think through how I'll actually be able to
Yeah.
use those
Do you want a
functions.
refresher on URL parameters?
Yes, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't
Okay.
mind.
Sure. So a URL parameter, just for anyone who's not sure. So if I go to dashboard here and I say, okay, the key would be URL param, and then I'm just going to make it a text 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. And so then I go back to the dashboard here and I preview it. So the first URL parameter that we have here, we have 2 of them going on right now. So we have debug mode equals true and tab equals home. Those are both URL parameters. URL parameters always start with a question mark following the primary URL.
Okay.
Right? And so the debug mode equals true. I'm going to go ahead and take that one out, and it's going to remove this at the bottom here. Okay, and then the tab equals home. That's what's highlighting this right now. And I think this is probably shown by default, this one here. Now I'm going to click this new button. What you saw me do right before here in the dashboard reusable one, in the workflow, I said go to the dashboard page, and we're going to send more parameters to the page, and we're going to send URL parameter equals 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to also go ahead and click this button to send the current page parameters because I don't want to get rid of any parameters. So now when I click this button new, it should add that URL parameter to it. So now, and it did, but this is wrong. And so maybe I'll take that out, back out. I won't send current page parameters. So this will refresh and leave it the same. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And then remove this. So we have our tab equals home. I'm going to click new and it will add that parameter.
Okay.
Why aren't you working? Dashboard, send URL param. Refresh one more time. I don't know how I broke it. Send more parameters to the page, URL param. Let's just click preview again. Bubble is not supposed to be that sensitive though. Okay, so we have our debug mode equals true. We have our tab equals home, and then I click here, and it's supposed to add the URL params, and it's not. So I think I must have corrupted. Yeah, I must have corrupted it somehow. Sometimes when you run into something and you know it's supposed to work and it just stops working, you just delete it and start again.
Start again. Yeah, I think that's happened to me before. So yeah.
We'll go to dashboard here. Oh, Ben's wanting to join. Right. Hey, Ben, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Ben.
That's not what I clicked. There we go. All right, so we have our 2, and I'm going to click. And it happened really quick there. That's so weird. Do you see it flashing?
Yeah.
It keeps removing it, I think.
Do you want to try a different page?
Yeah, something like that. That's so weird. Let's just try it here. Let's try a new page. I mean, I have to say my sandbox for this month is pretty crazy. It's like a mother saying, clean your room, Tonya. So I want to demonstrate it not from here though. I want to do it from a reusable. Okay, so navigate to URL params, send something. Maybe it doesn't like that I'm calling it URL parameter. There, and that text should be fine. So URL params on the page, I'm going to add the one I just made. Right there. Where's the search for that stuff? Reusable practice here. Pop it on the page. Oh, that's different. Does anybody notice what just happened?
Did it load?
That's a big deal. Maybe I just made this page. Yeah, that's what it was. I just made that page instead. It's me. I thought Bubble had automatically made this a new responsive. They didn't. I made this a new responsive, but I sent it to here, so that should be fine. Okay, so if I was like, maybe Bubble is stopping calling it beta. So if I click this button, it still didn't work.
Or do you think it might just be Bubble?
Maybe. That's weird. I mean, I do this all the time. Reusable practice in the workflow here. go to URL params, send more parameters to the page, something 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that should work. And that's definitely on the right page. And I click this button and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, which defeats the entire purpose of what I'm trying to show you.
Yeah, it might be, but maybe bubbles down there.
Yeah, maybe it's a bug or something, because it did work the first time I did it, and then it stopped working randomly. So, okay. But in practice, that's the way that you would communicate.
Yeah, I think I do get it now.
Because you can make conditions on the page when the URL parameter equals something specific, right? But you can change the URL parameter from the reusable itself.
So usually once I send the URL parameter to that page, then I can now use a condition that if that parameter shows, then do certain workflows. Is that it?
Exactly, precisely, because I can come in here on my page, my URL params page, and I can say do when condition is true.
Okay.
And I can say when get data, and in this case, something.
Okay.
Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
And on here, I can do it just once, or I can do it every time that it changes. So,
okay.
And so I can run any number of workflows. I can send things to the back end. I can do whatever I want when that URL parameter changes. So that's what makes it so powerful for the reusable to be able to change the URL parameter so that the page will pick up on it and do whatever it is that you want.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's sort of like what you did for that issue that I had with the raw materials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 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 Okay, that's fine. I think I will give it a shot. But let me just think through how my app will how consolidated the app using the new responsive engine. But there's one thing I noticed with the new responsive engine though. For instance, if your page is set on column, right? If you now put a repeating group, is it repeating group, a floating group, right? Once I put a floating group first, right, and I put a group, the group actually goes on top of the floating group.
Yeah, it's really weird, huh? So what I've been doing is using margins for that. So floating group, new responsive. So if I convert this page to the new responsive, and it's tricky with our recordings because we've been recording office hours, but then broadcasting them later. But I can figure out which one it was. But we did, Thomas and I did a whole new responsive editor layout this week that you could watch as
so
well.
You can just tell me which one I can just go. I watched a couple, but yeah, I just noticed this.
Yeah, but it won't take long here. If I just switch this to column, and then I want a floating group for your header. Is that what you were? Okay. So if I come down here and I do a floating group here, and then I'm just going to make this height, let's make it, 75, and the width will be 960, but this one a row.
Definitely.
And not fixed width. That way it'll go across the whole page, right? And now I'm going to add another group here, and it'll just be a regular group. Because if I was going to add a repeating group, I'd still put the repeating group in its own group probably. And now, like you said, this is hanging over on top of the floating group, which is weird.
Yeah.
Right? So for this one, I'll make the width 960 and the height, probably the other one's 75, so 525 to start.
Okay.
But I probably would make this one a row, not make it fixed width and not make it fixed height either. But now what I do is I'm going to give it a margin of 75 at the top to bring it underneath the floating group, so that the floating group doesn't float on top of it.
You do it. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, okay. Okay, that works. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that works then. Okay. That's really clear.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
I guess I'm okay for today then.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Tonya.
You're very welcome. Ben, do you have questions for today?
I don't, just hanging out.
Just hanging out? Decided to wake up on Christmas morning and hang out with us. I feel very special.
I did. Look, every day you get to hang out with the team is a good start to the day. So
Awesome. Perfect. It's not cold here, but it is rainy today, which is unusual and disappointing a little bit because my sister was hoping to come spend Christmas in Tucson and have like 80 or 90 degree weather. And it's going to be rainy and in the 60s. So
she needs to come to Australia for Christmas because it's 5 a.m. and already 30 degrees here.
you're like, it's so hot here. Yeah. Yep. So awesome. Well, we just brought on a new team member to Pro NoCoders in the last 24 hours. Super excited. Cameron Wilderbooth, who made an appearance. His first appearance on Office Hours was episode 110. But he's going to be joining us for Friday Office Hours in the new year. So his first Friday Office Hours will be our 200th episode. So that's exciting. I'm going to make sure Juan can be here for that as well. So the whole Pro NoCoders team will be here.
Everyone load up your questions.
Yes. Yeah, start saving those questions. Send them ahead of time. Give us a warning and we can work on them.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can you stump the team?
Can you? Yes, stump the team. See if you can stump us or roast us, whichever. We were talking about that yesterday. You could do a roasting of the Pro NoCoders team. That would be fine.
Oh, that's terrifying.
We can take it. We record and broadcast later, so we can always edit it out. Let's see what else is happening. This is like hard for me because I like the idea of Christmas, but everything changes over Christmas. Like everyone in the United States sort of goes away for 2 weeks, and it's like, but I was just getting started. Well, if there are no other questions for Office Hours, I guess we will wrap it up and we will be back again for episode number 189. If you're watching this, this is being recorded on Christmas Eve here in the United States. But next week, we will not be broadcasting the same week. So we're going to go to a schedule where the office hours that are being broadcast are a week behind the office hour actually taking place. So it'll be a little bit different, but if you have questions, you can always send them to team@pronocoders.com and we can help clear things up or answer your questions. Looking forward to seeing everybody in the new year, since this will be the last session that will be broadcast before the new year. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you then.